making a file on something really important, how to upload what I think is really important, which is how to upload uh, multiple files. Now let me give you a little bit of an introduction and let's show you what we're doing. The only thing I have in the file here at all is a website. Excuse me, that I'm going to be using. This website has a whole lot of data that's recorded in text files for all sorts of, for hydro plants. The hydro plants go from the current month and they go all the way down to, well, a long, long time ago, don't they? Now, it seems that I've already done this. If we look at one of these files, they're in some sort of text thing, and what we want to do is put those all in Excel. We want to put those in separate sheets in the spreadsheet. So we're going to make just a whole lot of sheets, and then we're automatically going to put them all together because those mean people on the website didn't do that for us. So the technique that I think is so useful is, number one, to use the workbooks dot open statement in VBA. Then you do a little programming to put the data into separate sheets. And then finally, you use the indirect function to put the data together. Now, what I'm going to do is, as usual, let me save this. I press F12 to save as. I'm going to save it as a macro enable file. I'm going to call this read hydro data. And that file will be on the website. It's sorry about this. Oh God. www.edbodmer. I can't do anything anymore.com. Okay, so you can see I'm a horrible typer, and you can do all of this much more quickly than me. So I'm going to go through the various steps. Now, step one is going to be to take this. Once we have the data source, let's get the URL. I'm going to take this URL and we're going to split this URL into two different pieces and be able to just put the different months and the different years together. So I'm going to use I'll use an index function with years. We're just going to keep cycling through the different dates. So step one is to go and get one of these, just like I did before. We get a URL, and that's the big trick. But that, if it was just for this one file, I would have said, who cares? But this is such a trick because you do it so often. So what we have is, obviously we have May 24th, and then the other thing you should just do is check. Well, May isn't a good one to check. I don't know if we have something like August. Look at August. They put an abbreviation for the August, so we're gonna put those into our file. So I don't know. How about to insert a column? Don't you put Control space bar Shift Control plus or Control plus, and let's put the month, and then let's go back and look at the year. The year. I'm gonna be real aggressive. I'm gonna go all the way back to 1993. Now, there were some months you saw where we didn't have any data available, so we're gonna have to put some error checks, and then we're going to eventually do this for all the different. This is for different dams on the Colorado River, by the way. This is going to give us the day by day, or not day by day, hour by hour hydro production, so we can see just how much was produced at different times of the year. And then eventually we're going to get the in a separate video. I'll do all of that. So let's put January, February. I don't think it has to be an ice. Oh well, you know, there's probably a faster way to do that. Okay, that was really exciting. And then we'll put the year, and we'll start with, why don't we start with 2014 and go backwards, just like the file has. Okay, so we want to cycle through that's going to be way too much, sorry. Okay, Control B to copy it down, and I think it started in 1999. So why don't we put the, what we're going to do is split up the URL. Okay, so I'm going to copy it twice. In the first one, I just take everything away from before the date, just kind of simple. And the last one, you don't really have to do, but I take away everything after the date. And then we put combined URL. Let's put the month code and year code. So let's make the month code 1 and the year code 1. So we'll put down here, why don't we put index, as usual, just put the month code in first, and then the year code. If this is too boring and I'm not getting to the right place right away, I apologize, but these kind of basic things are still kind of useful. So we'll put month and year. All right, and this is really a big part of it, I suppose. So we have May 2014, I hope, and then we'll just concatenate that. You know, I write a function to do this concatenation if you have more than one. It's incredible. Excel doesn't have that in there. Now let's put combined URL, and we just put our thing back together. It kind of is backwards, isn't it? I suppose I should have started with December and go down or something. Okay, so there's our combined URL, and why don't I we'll make it a range name. Okay, now here's what this is the key part of this. So I made this a range name. The idea is we're going to make a loop that goes through 1 to 12 for the months, and then 1 to however many years there are. How many years do we have? So we'll make a loop that goes from 1 to 18 for the years, and we'll read that in, and then we're just going to put all this together. So why don't we put read files in this one, and then we'll have some sort of summary sheet. And then after we have the summary sheet, we'll put everything together in separate sheets, and the summary sheet will use the indirect command. Now what I'm going to do is just show you some of this, and then while it's, of course, downloading all the data, I'll switch the a video off, and hopefully I can switch it back on. So let's go to the developer tab, go to macros. Oh, I've got one already, but why don't we put read files or read data? How's that? Okay. In the read data, the big statement is just this workbooks dot open, and we put the URL. The quotes need to be in the URL. Just think of this, the range name, it's a range name URL. So if you had put F16 in, you would have put it in quotes just like that. That's our big statement. And in fact, just to illustrate how this works, let's just run the macro. So when you run the macro, it's probably a really good idea to do this anyway, is you should test it. Now, watch, my internet is really slow here, this US internet. It's going to read the file, okay? And it put the file in a spreadsheet. Now what we're going to do just manually, if you think about this, we're going to click on the whole sheet, and we're going to just copy all the files. I just pressed Control C to copy. We're going to go back to our original sheet, and we're going to paste those into the sheet, and then we're going to rename the sheet. We're going to do all of that in the macro, and then we better also well, this one, it won't matter so much. When you read from Market Watch and from the financial ones, we'd have to absolutely make sure and close this file, which I think we should do anyway. Okay, and I'm going to delete this for now. That was just to show you what we're doing. Okay, and so let's look at the alternate F11 to get things. So the first thing is really, and I do this almost, not always, but a lot, is let's define where we are. Let's put the current workbook equal active workbook dot name. Okay, and current sheet equal active Okay, that it's important, and we can even put current cell this time you need to put range instead of sheet, so that shows you where we are. Eventually we're going to have something like workbooks dot just 1 minute. Sorry about that. Now, after we've defined where we are, eventually we're going to put things back. We're going to have something like workbooks current workbook dot activate. Now, why this is all different in sheets? Dot select. It's all different, and then range. We could put dot. I suppose we'll put dot activate, or why don't we do that? Okay. So we we start with defining where we are. We do something, and then we go through it. Now, I think I'm gonna. Why don't we? And here's the next thing. Just save the file, because I'm sure I made some silly mistake. I'm sure spelled that something's wrong. So now I'm going to run this. When you run it, you can press the F5 key. See why I put range instead of address. As usual, you know, I make these mistakes on purpose in making a file. Okay, now hopefully it'll not take too long. Excuse me for making you watch this. Now, as soon as this opens, why don't we go and record our macro? So why don't we, I'm going to start with some temporary macro. And then I'm going to press Control Tab to get into the other sheet. Click on the whole thing, Control C, Control Tab to go back to our other sheet. Oh, no. Let's do it this way. It'll be much better to do it this way. So we go to our sheet that we just made, and let's put it in our read hydro data. Let's move it to the end, and let's not create a copy. That'll close the file. And let's stop recording this sheet. And then it really did a lot for us. And then, of course, what we're going to do is press alternate F11 to get our file, and let's just copy certain of the things. So once we open the book, we'll copy all the selections. And then we'll, I don't think we have to do all of this stuff. And then we're going to, we're going to move our sheet to the other one. Now, there are a few things we have to change in this, a whole lot of them. But okay, so then, and this is where we can go back and activate our current workbook. We can, I suppose, put the current copy sheets, and then why don't we put sheets? I don't think we need to name this. Maybe we do. Sheets.move, and then we put here, this is why we defined the current workbook. And then it should have said sheets move